have been some serious campaigns and some serious efforts trying to stop the population from acquiring and using this drug in any way. And as time passes, new questions arise. Are we facing the problem the right way? Are we really stopping this drug from doing us any harm? Or are we just pushing it away, something that's potentially beneficial just because it is socially unacceptable? And the most intriguing of all, is legalizing marijuana the right choice to make? Or would it only bring bad consequences to our country? Here, we will try to answer these questions by exposing the consequences and implications that legalizing marijuana will have in our country's health, economy, and politics. So first, let's talk about health. I ask you, what exactly would legalizing marijuana, what kind of effect will it have in our country's health? Carlos?
Well, scientific literature is clear that marijuana is addictive and it compromises mental and body function. And its use, it has proven to affect and promote some conditions such like cancer, immunodeficiency, also cardiac diseases, and also one that is very mentioned, which is the short-term memory loss. Okay, well, many people who defend the legalization of marijuana say that marijuana is a soft drug, that it's not much different from alcohol, that it may not be as harmful as they present it. But maybe they're not thinking that marijuana serves as a gateway drug. And it's not only a gateway drug for more harmful addictions or drugs, but it's a gateway drug for violence, it's a gateway drug for criminal activities, because it has been proven that, I mean, a research in the Great Britain throw out that almost 60% of the criminals that are arrested for violent crimes, they have showed positive tests on marijuana or other drugs of toxic abuse. Well, also, what many people argue is that it has helpful properties, but that's not completely true, because it has some palliative effects, but those palliative effects are not even like first choice for the diseases they claim to cure, like glaucoma or anxiety, sleep deprivation. They're not. There are other better choices before marijuana to choose.
Well, I would like to know, where did you get that information of heart disease and that some components of marijuana are not helpful? Because there are some studies that show that, for example, cannabidiol, also known as CBD, is a component of marijuana that helps cure or treat, not cure, but treat some diseases as cancer, glaucoma, HIV, Crohn's disease, hepatitis, Alzheimer, and other syndromes, and also is very known for treating children with seizures, and it helps relieve the pain of many diseases. So maybe it's not like the first option, but it's an option that sometimes is more economical, more cheaper than, cheaper than other treatments that implicates surgeries or even some medicines that have higher costs. So, for example, I want to say a case about a 7 years age, a girl from Wisconsin that had seizures, and in Wisconsin it's not legal marijuana, so her parents wanted to make it legal so they can treat her, but in the time that the government allowed the girl died because she didn't have these reserves, and there are multiple cases of this, like this one, where people doesn't have the research, the ability to get to this drug because it's not legal in some states, and they die waiting for it to become legal.
Okay. I mean, if that person died, I'm pretty sure it wasn't because of that he didn't have marijuana, because there are a lot of drugs that you could give to him, her, before marijuana, and they will completely serve and function on her very well, inclusive better than marijuana. But well, I want to talk about something else. Okay, unlike alcohol, marijuana has a residual effect, and this residual effect affects more on cognitive ability, and it persists beyond the intoxication period. This period of cognitive impairment, it can last almost like 1-2 weeks, and if it's persistently used, the marijuana, it can persist like for months or more time. And well, I want to say one more thing. The British Lung Foundation has recently published an article that says that just one cigarette of marijuana contains 20 more times of ammonia, which is a toxic compound that the tobacco cigarette contains. So marijuana cigarette has 20 more times the ammonia that has the tobacco. And well, compared to this, like in very easy words, 4 cigarettes of marijuana will do the same damage to the lungs as 20 cigarettes of tobacco.
Well, I believe some of the component you're referring is THC, Delta 9, which is a component that can cause some damage to the brain and to the lungs because of the smoke. But some components, as I mentioned before, like CBD, it's for medical use, and it could be extracted from the plant, from the marijuana. So people doesn't have to when they consume, it doesn't have to be like with this component. It could be only with the component that is medical. And also, for example, you mentioned tobacco, but it has a lot more components, chemical components that affect the body instead of marijuana, which is natural. And as I mentioned, it could be used like just the components that help the people. So this damage of neurological damage and short-term memory loss doesn't have to occur.
Okay. There's some interesting points here, but now let's move on. So I ask you now, what would be the social consequences in our country if marijuana were legal to use freely?
Okay.
Yes.
What this country less needs at this moment is lazy employees that just consume marijuana and come the next day to work, and they don't work as they should have done, perform as they are expected to work. There is a study of the drug abuse institution. Okay, well, this study says that 50% of the industrial accidents, and that there, in the people that is tested positive with marijuana, has 50% more probabilities to have industrial accidents, have 80% more probabilities to have injuries, has 75% more higher abstinence at work. And well, this is a direct impact on the economy and on the on the economy of the country. Well, also, well, there is a chemical effect that is the takeaway of the ambition of the person that consumes the marijuana. There's the social effect that it serves for many people to provide an escape, or just an escape from a challenge or from responsibility. And also, marijuana creates losers. At the time when we are really concerned about academic level in this country, we cannot take the risk on we cannot take the risk for the young people that is still in high school, that is doing his college. We cannot take the risk to let them the doors open to get a new drug that I know it may not be as dangerous as other drugs, but it is not good. It is not. It does not have any good to.
What do you think of that?
Well, first of all, I want to answer to that last statement, because legal provision does not stop people to get or produce marijuana. It just increases like the black market and the prices for getting it. So I want to talk about three aspects of these social implications. First of all, I want to mention a statistic from the INEGI, the National Institute of Statistics and Geography, because since 2005 to this date, from there have been around 116,000 of murders due to drug dealing. So, and just about 20,000 murders linked to other crime activities, not due to drug dealing. So we know that our country is facing a war against a drug, and I'm not saying we should legalize all of them, but this is why we could legalize, for example, marijuana, but obviously with its implication, with its regulation, and just like tobacco, you're not putting them. I mean, you're not putting the children or the young people like the drugs in their hands. You're doing this, but for the medical implications and to finish all these murders. So we should like legalize it, but with its rules and its laws, and with minimum age of consuming it and buying it. And also, I want to talk about how legalizing marijuana will include like regulations as it happened with tobacco, which includes like these labels that let you know about the health implications and how it affects your body, like the positive and negative implications. And for example, with how it happened with alcohol, that it says like the percentage of alcohol it has, and I mean all the active and inactive ingredients that it includes.
Okay, so now moving on to our last point, because we are kind of running out of time. So, what effects would legalizing marijuana have in our country's economy or politics? Carlos?
Well, first of all, I want to say something about violence. Well, it's proven that marijuana used in a long term promotes violence. It alters the nervous system, and there is no better example than Netherlands on this topic, because I know many people that defend marijuana legalization always refers to Netherlands as example for how they legalized it and it was all good and everybody happy. But what many people doesn't know is that marijuana in Netherlands has also promoted this wave of violence around the places where they sell the marijuana at the coffee shops, and these coffee shops have been associated with crime and all of their yes, and well, but now looking as an economy issue, the marijuana. Well, I want to tell you an example with the tobacco industry. I mean, every year they collect 25 billion in taxes, the government, on the tobacco industry, but they spend 200 billion in healthcare, in giving mental and health, well, treating mental and health wellness problems, accidents, car accidents, which are not controllable because there is not like an alcohol limiter for marijuana. The tetrahydrocannabinol lasts for more than 1 week. I don't know if it's exposed to marijuana.
Yeah.
Well, actually, as I mentioned, the consumption of marijuana will not like, yeah, you can consume what you want and you can do whatever you want. It will be regularized, and of course it will imply like some laws that if you consume, you cannot drive, for example, because I mean driving is legal, the consumption could be legal, but like no, not the both at the same time, you know. So also, as you mentioned, marijuana will, I mean, the legalization of marijuana will represent another source of economy to the country because of the taxes, and because it will be like, now it will be legal, so the producers should like higher standards of health and, I mean, in every aspect about the production. So, for example, they could be sued as tobacco companies. So people will be more aware of the real and true effects of it. And well, it also will help like the government to fight all this war against the drug dealing issue.
Okay, so have it, positive and negative effects of legalizing marijuana. And even though we may have spent years fiercely fighting the usage of this drug, it may be time to reconsider the cost of our actions. Maybe we were just doing what we were being told to by other people, but other people may be wrong too. Sure, legalizing marijuana may have harmful effects in many different levels, but so does other legal drugs such as alcohol and tobacco. It is reasonable that people are afraid of what our country will become if one day drugs like this will become legal, but it may not be as horrible as it may seem. Just like Martin Luther King Jr. said, take the first step in faith. You don't have to see the whole staircase, just take the first step.